Welcome back to Phillips Hot Rod Garage. Alright guys, in this video we're going to get started trying to put these curved rear sub rails into this Model A coupe. Now what we're doing is putting a 28 Model A coupe on a 32 frame, and that requires extensive modifications to the rear sub rail area of the car. The factory rear sub rails are flat, the new ones are curved to match the curvature of the 32 frame. So I'm going to lay these pieces out here on the floor, show you how everything goes together, and then we've got to figure out how to get them to fit into the car. Oh yeah, we got to check the mail too. Alright guys, so these are the pieces that come with the kit. There's 6 pieces here. 2 little pieces that go right here, the front of the sub rail on each side. Got a cross brace. Section of floor pan for the rear. See, it goes this way. Like so. And this piece goes up in here somewhere. This piece goes on the other side. Alright, so that's pretty much how it goes. Now I just got to figure out how to get all this to fit in the car. But before we do, let's check out what I got in the mail. Well, alright, got my first package from a subscriber. That's pretty awesome. I'd like to thank Brian from up in Delaware for reaching out to me. Brian reached out to me through email, and also he messaged me on my Facebook page, Phillips Hot Rod Garage on Facebook, and he's commented on several videos. Brian, I do appreciate that. But, you know, a few videos back, I was using some Harbor Freight grinding disc, and the things just weren't cutting it. So Brian reached out to me and told me he was going to send me some grinding disc. So I just want to share these with you guys. Sent me some stuff to try to see if I like. He sent me a 6-inch Metabo grinding disc. There's a Garrison 6-inch flap disc. Looks like 5 6-inch Metabo cutoff wheels. It's a 5-inch flap disc. There's a couple of 4.5-inch flap discs. It's called a jumbo disc from Garrison. There's a Metabo 4.5-inch grinding disc. And there's 3 4.5-inch Say It grinding discs. I've never heard of this brand, but I'm looking forward to trying these. Brian, my friend, I really appreciate it. I will put these to work, no doubt. I really do appreciate it. If you'll send me an email to phillipshotrodgarage@gmail.com, I'll send you my address back if you want to support the channel in any way. In 2018, my shop burned down. I lost everything that I had. I lost my 1935 Chevrolet that I'd had for 30 years. My wife and I had spent a lot of time in that car, driving it and riding it to car shows and stuff. I built the car, bought it when I was 18 years old, right out of high school. And we just had a good time with it through the years. I lost my wife's great-grandfather's 66 Chevrolet pickup in the fire, and just countless other hot rod parts and things. The Model A I had already bought, and it was sitting out in front of the shop, and I almost lost the Model A. It actually burned the one half of one of the rear tires off of the car. The car was already on fire. It was burning the paint off the back of the quarter panels. It was sitting right out in front of the building, and fire department was able to put that car out and save it. And then in the shop there was nothing they could save, but I lost everything. And so what you see here now is just starting over. I've got a new shop here, and I've got new projects. But guys, I'm just a regular guy building a car in my home shop. This is my home shop, and I'm just a regular guy building a car. And I appreciate all you guys following my channel, and I appreciate Brian for reaching out to me and sending me these discs. The Harbor Freight discs were just part of the deal. I mean, I had to buy everything at one time, and I still need a lot of tools. I still need equipment. I lost a lot in that fire. About 30 years worth of collecting hot rod parts and tools and equipment was just all gone overnight. And now I'm trying to start over. So what you see here is a product of about 4 years worth of just putting everything I got into trying to bounce back from it and try not to let it defeat me. And I'm gonna get these cars built. I'm gonna keep going till I get it done. It's all part of it. Things like that happen in life. But if any of you want to do like Brian did and support the channel in some way, send me an email, phillipshotrod@gmail.com. I'm not asking for anybody to send me anything, but I do appreciate it, and I hope what I'm doing on these cars helps you in some way. And either way, I'm having fun doing it, so I appreciate it. Thanks, Brian. All right, so I got to get this rear body panel back off. Alright guys, so if you're building a Model A like this and you're interested in putting these curved subrails in the back of your car, your situation very well could be different than mine. A lot of people are working on cars that are pretty solid. I'm working on one that was falling in on itself, collapsing on itself, so rusty that most people would have never fixed it. That's what I'm working on. So my situation is a little bit different. I don't have any good reference points to go by. The quarters rusted off here at the bottom to where I have nothing to go by. There's no good reference points here. The subrails in my car were completely rusted in half. All this in the back, these two quarters, they'll move side to side in comparison to the front of the car. They're just flopping around. There's nothing holding this trunk opening square. I've got one little reference point that I can go by right here on the bottom of this quarter. There's a hole here on the inside where a rivet goes in to this subrail connector, this rear body cross member here. There's one little hole that I can go by, and that's the only reference point that I have. So before I cut this piece off the car in the beginning, I did take some measurements just to see kind of where I was at, and it was 47 7/8, and that's where I'm at right now. So I'm gonna just probably weld this back on at 47 7/8. But since I don't have good solid subrails and I don't have good reference points, I'm going to have to spend quite a bit of time making sure that this subrail connector or rear body cross member is in the correct location. So I'm going to spend a good bit of time measuring, squaring, and trying to get this piece sitting correctly. And that's going to be the best that I can do. I don't have another car to measure, so I'm going to just try to get it square, and then I'm going to go from there. So I'm going to use a laser, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to shoot a line from the center of this up across the center of those cross members, going across the car in the middle area there, and all the way up to the firewall. Try to find the center point up there, and I'm going to try to establish the center line down the car so that I can make sure that this is sitting correctly from left to right. And also, when I go to put my subrails in, I'll have a center point to measure off of to make sure that both sides of the subrails are sitting in here correctly. It wouldn't be this way if the car was a little more solid and more put together. I could probably just go to town on it, just cutting subrails out, putting new ones in, and everything would be fine. But since this car is falling all to pieces, I've got to start from scratch figuring out where this goes without some good reference points to go by. So there you go, that's what I got to do. Alright, so I got some new tools. I had my wife to stop by on her way home from work. She picked up this laser for me today. And hey, it's awesome to have a wife that is supportive of this stuff. You know, I know a lot of guys, their wives don't really get too much into these old cars. Now, she's not going to get down here and help me and get dirty working on it. She'll help me hold something if I ask her to. But I tell you what, it's a blessing to have a wife that supports me in this. It's just an awesome thing. So I'm going to go ahead and get this laser unpacked so I can get it shot down through here so we can see where we're at. And we're going to start shooting some lines. Alright guys, so I got it set up and it's going to work out pretty good, I think. You can clearly see it up there on the firewall, up here on this panel. You can see it right here on this tubing. I can see it across those cross members. You can clearly see it right here. So all I've got to do now is I got to do some measuring and I got to get some center points on the car to go by so I can line the laser up there on those center points. Then I can move this over to where it needs to go. So that's the thing to do now. I got to get started measuring. All right, so looking at this line right here, it looks like the car is pretty level across there. So I don't think I need to move the car as far as side to side. I think it's good enough. Now, if I was trying to get this line up here, dead center here, and dead center of the car at the bottom, I might have to level the car a little bit better. But I'm not worried about all that up there for now. I think that's close enough. All I'm worried about is the line across the bottom down here. So I think it's close enough to being level that that really won't matter at this point. So we're just going to go ahead with it right there where it's sitting. All right, so I got to find the center of this cross member. There's some holes here in the center, but I don't know if old Henry Ford and his bunch back in the day had this in the right spot or not. So I'm going to measure this out for myself. Come up with my own center point. That is 31 3/4 all the way across. So half of that would be 15 7/8. And they have got it really, really close to the center. Really close. I'm going to put my own mark on it just so I'll have a line to go by, but they've got it close. If I'd used their mark, I would have had it, I think, in the ballpark. But I'm going to put my own mark anyway. Right there. Yeah, they have it close, but it's a little bit off. I'm going to check back from the other side. Just check my own measurements, make sure that I did it correctly. And no, I'm not exactly the same here. My number was a little off. I was probably holding my tape a little different. Let me do a little better job of holding my tape a little better. It's hard to do just one person. It would would be better if I had some help, especially trying to get it really precise like this. 15 7/8. Yeah, I think we're going to call that good. I think we're going to call that good. Alright guys, let's see what we got right here on this cross member. We got 37 3/8 right there. Alright, so half of that is going to be 18.5 plus 3/16. That's going to be 18 11/16. If I'm not bad mistaken. 18 11/16. I'll measure from the other way to be sure. 18 11/16. Yep, that's it. That is it, guys. That is it. All right, I got to get a center line on the firewall now. Let me get that measured out. Hey, some of you guys, come over and help me real quick. 26 3/4. Half of that would be 13 3/8. Measure from the other side now and check it. Yep, that's it. That is it. Okay. Now I got to find the center of this piece. I've already marked it one time when I was making that inner piece, but I just want to measure it again to be sure that I marked it in the correct location. You can't ever be too sure, so I'm gonna just measure it again so I'll know. You know what? I'm gonna have to take it off. I'm gonna have to take it off to do it. All right. $42 3/4. Half of that is 21 3/8. It's gonna be in the ballpark right there. I'm gonna stick this back on. Quarter's bent a little. I better straighten that up some and then put it on. Okay. Now, let's put this back on. Looks perfect right there. And of course, this side is way off. But it's all right. I'm just going to stick some vice grips up here just to try to sort of hold the quarter in place. There we go. No, they didn't stay. Probably have to clamp these together. That's probably what I'll do. Hey, I've got the perfect plan. All right. Yeah, that'll work. That'll work real good. Oh yeah. That's perfect. All right, now I want to measure from that cross member right there to here. That is 47 7/8. On this side it is 47 7/8. That's perfect. That's exactly where I measured it to be before I removed it. So now, what's next? Oh yeah, we need to check and see how close this thing is to being in the center. Let's check that now. All right, let me get my lines lined up. All right, so let's move it. Yeah, I wish there was a little bit more of an easier way to fine tune this thing. It doesn't fine tune very easily. But I might have just nailed it right there. Let me look. Wow. I don't think I'm going to get any better than that. Alright, that looks really good. I think I nailed it pretty quickly there. Alright, let me bring you guys in here and show you how this looks. Alright, looking in here at the firewall, that lines up really good to the center of that hole. Down here, it lines up perfect with my mark. Real close. Keep getting in the way of the laser. And in here, I told you these holes were not exactly perfect, but it's lined up with my mark that I made. Also, the mark I made here is lined up. Now, just for an added bonus, this piece of square tubing is the center of my jig, and that line is following that center mark that I have established all the way down. Hey, that's just an added bonus. I wasn't really intending on that to be the case. So as you can see back here, we're lined up with my mark there too. So that looks good enough, I think. Right up here at the top, that line is coming in just under this edge on both sides. Looks pretty good. So I think now I'm ready to check the height of this to make sure that the height is okay. The side to side on it's right. Once I clamp this in place right here, and once I got that over there lined up the way it should be, it ended up just landing perfectly in the correct spot. That tells me I could have got by without spending the money on that laser. But I wouldn't have had any way of knowing. I mean, really, this really helped me out a lot. I'm glad I got the laser. It really gives me peace of mind on it. I could have used a string or something, but I kind of like this laser. The thing works pretty good. But anyway, let me check the height of it now, and then we'll be ready to tack this back in place so it doesn't move. Then we can get ready to start installing the subrails. Now, the more I study on this and the more I measure, the more I realize that I really don't know how to set the height of this as far as up and down, because I don't really know where it goes. When looking at the subrail right here, I don't know if that's supposed to be level with this top part of the subrail or down in this part of the subrail right here, because I'm not sure how this was made between here. I can go get my pieces that I cut out and I can study on them a while and try to figure it out. But honestly, everything's lining up so good that I think it's going to be pretty close. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to check these cross members here to make sure that they are sitting perfectly level, and if they are, then I'm going to check that one at the back, make sure it's level with these, and if it's level and it's center, I'm just going to let it go where it's at. So let me stick this on here and see how it looks. That is 0.2 of a degree, 0.2 degrees. That is close. All right, let's check this one. Yeah, that zeroed out right there. All right, let's see what the back one looks like. Guys, the thing's sitting on 0. So, according to this angle finder, it's zeroed out, dead level. The middle cross member was dead level. The one in front of it was only 0.2 of a degree out, which is very close. I could probably wiggle the thing around a little bit on that one and get it to 0. So, as far as I know, that's as perfect as I'm going to be able to get it. Look at that. Told you guys a while back that my jig my car sitting on was pretty level. That proves it. Zeroed out. Alright guys, this video is getting kind of long, so let's go ahead and tack the rear cross member back in place, stick the rear body panel back in to make sure that everything's going to fit, so we can make sure that we got a good center mark with the laser between the quarter panels at the top of the rear body panel. I think if that works out for me, then everything's going to be good. So let's get this thing wrapped up. All right, that looks good. All right, let's get this thing clamped on. I don't think that's going to work. I don't think it is. Nope. When I clamp this to the quarter panels, it pulls the back of the car over. That's not good. That is not good. So, as far as I know, I'm ready to start putting the sub rails in. The problem that I got is the quarter panels up in the top, up in this area here, are sagging apart. There's too much space between them. If I put the trunk up here, I guarantee you there's going to be a huge gap on each side. A lot of that has probably got to do with the fire. The back of the car did get really hot. So that's probably what the problem is. But what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to pull these quarters in and try to get them adjusted. My measurement at the bottom of the quarter down here is perfect. It's centered. But the problem is when I begin to try to pull this sag out of the quarters by clamping this rear body panel in, it's moving one side of the car more than the other. So the only way I'm going to stop that is I'm going to have to put a cross brace from this square tube in here over to the other side, and then probably one from that side over to this side, like make an X brace in it, so that I can clamp all this together in place without it trying to move this down here. So I don't really have to worry about this up here right now. I should be fine with it. I think I can go ahead and start putting the sub rails in. So that's what we're going to do in the next video. We're going to go ahead and get started trimming these sub rails. We're done measuring the car. I know everything that's got to be done now. Everything is just where I want it. The sub rail structure is perfectly square, so I can take care of these quarter panels later when I get started trying to get those done. I'm very confident that as long as the bottom here is in the right spot and this right here is in the right spot, the sub rail connector and the quarters at the bottom, as long as they're square, then I can get the sub rails in here squared up, and that's all that's going to matter at this stage of the game. Appreciate you guys watching. Thanks for hanging out to the end. Thanks for all the 1,000 plus subscribers for subscribing to the channel. If you've not subscribed yet and you made it this far in the video, just go ahead and subscribe. You don't want to miss the next video. We're going to put the sub rails in the next one. We're going to go ahead and start cutting on this. Hopefully I'll put some of those grinding discs and cut off wheels that Brian sent me to work in the next video. The only problem is I got to go somewhere and find a 6-inch grinder. So that's on my list of things to do this week. Find a grinder, put those grinding discs to work next week. We're going to put some sub rails in. You don't want to miss it. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you in the next one.